Hi, good morning all of you. My name is Jitendra Chanda. I represent solutionforall.in. It basically a learning website which aims at finding easiest solution for every difficulties. I hope I will prove myself through this channel. Thank you. Now in this lesson we will learn something about language. What basically language is, how it relates in our life. Okay, next move to the next slide. The definition of language. Definition of language. Language is a medium of communication. Language is the medium of communication or conversation between two things. Here two things can be human being, two things can be anything, okay, or any object. Any object which what is object? Object which has real existence in the world, like two animals, two peoples, two computers, something like this. So anything which has real existence in the world, who can communicate with each other only through the language. Language is the only way through which two things can be communicated with each other. The use of language, communication, the use of language, example of use of language is communication between two people in their local language. Like if someone speaking in Odia and with another people, and he also able to understand the Odia language, then only it will be calling as communication. Because if the other person cannot understand anything, so that can't be calling as a good communication. Okay, next we will go through that what is a communication and something else. Language can be any form, but the purpose is to perform the effective communication. The main aim of the language, use of language, is to perform an effective communication. It means if you are saying something but the another person to whom you are saying, he doesn't understand anything, so that doesn't mean that it is a, that doesn't consider as a effective communication. So it is mandatory or it is required to have a better language to for effective communication. The method of human communication, either in spoken or written, consists of the use of words in the structured or conventional way. It means if you are speaking something that is not in the right way, it means if I am saying that I goes fast, it doesn't sense something, anything. Okay, so for this reason we need to consider the grammatical mistakes, okay, and the structure in which way we are communicating. Okay, proceed to next slide. What is communication? Communication is the process of explaining, sharing your ideas, transferring knowledge between people. Here I am considering the only human communication. Okay, so communication is the process of explaining, sharing your ideas. It means when you are expressing something to your friends, to your colleagues, to your neighbors, and sharing your knowledge from one person to another person, one people to another people, one people to many people or group of people. At that time you are considering the process is known as communication. The fundamental requirement of communication is the language. Without language there is no communication. Okay, in this picture a person saying hello to another person, so it means he meets to that person now. For this reason he will congratulate or saying hello. Without language there is no way to communicate or conversation. While you are going through the conversation, if there is no use of language, then you can't communicate with each other. It can be in any form. Like if you are saying I am not writing something and speaking something. So it may be some posture or gesture. Okay, it can be a posture, it can be a gesture. It means in earlier stages there is no verbal communication, so they are representing via some arts, some gestures, some attitudes, like you are smiling. It means always you are a happy state. The only one language in universe can be understood by everyone is the smile. Smile is the best language which express only one thing, nothing else. A human expression can be different, but only the smile is the one thing which can be throughout world unique. Like human being, every living object has their different way of communication with different languages. While we are considering English, Hindi, something else like this, there are different languages. Like some animals, they are communicating with each other in their languages that we can't understand. Okay, so that is the basic fundamentals of languages. Then what is the considerations when we use English languages? An effective communication is that when there is a better way of choosing the appropriate language for communication. It means if a person well and good at Hindi, but he was going through deliver ideas in English, he will not able to provide so much effective while he was communicating with Hindi. If I am good at Hindi, but I want to express something to you or a group of people in English, and I am not so much fluent in English, then only I have facing some problem, and my ideas should not be reached out there, or I can't express myself with them. Okay, so the notebook is, before going to start communication, it is also mandatory to choose the comfortable language for effective communication. It means if you are good at Hindi, let starts your speak your conversation in Hindi, not to English, because it is the objective of sharing your knowledge, sharing your thought to other people, not to communicate with each other in fluent way. Okay, how much you are good at English, it is not the things. You should consider the objective of the communication. Okay, thanks. Next, now we are considering the only language. What are the languages in our life, in the real life existence, that should be considered? After that, now we are considering the languages in computer science. In computer science, we have so many languages, but I categorize this into different, on the basis of different views. Like, while we are considering the world of computer science, the language can be used to communicate between. While we are considering the human communication or animal communication, there are different things like human to human, human to animal, animal to animal, something like this. But in computer science, these are the possible way of communication. Okay, so computer to computer, computer to human, computer to applications. There are several applications through which the system will communicate with each other, and there are several concepts like networking concepts, in which there are computer to computer, computer to devices, something like this. And the most vital things is human to computer. The conversation of thought of your to represent the computer system is known as computer with respect to human conversation. There are several categories of languages like programming languages, assembly languages, scripting languages, Markup languages, and so on. Okay, so there are several categories of languages which can discuss later, like programming languages. There are several programming languages, assembly languages, scripting languages, markup languages, and so on. Okay, so we need to discuss it later stages. So these are the concepts if we are considering what is a language. Okay, thanks, bye. Good morning, all of you. My name is Jitendra Sanda. I represent Solution for All.it. It basically a learning website which aims at finding easiest way of solution for every difficulties. Thank you. In this lesson, we discussed about what is language. Okay, move to next slide. Definition of language. In different views, language definition is different from person to person. Basically, what I think, language is the only way, only one medium through which a communication can occur or takes place. Language is the medium of communication or conversation between two things. It means if two things or two objects are trying to communicate with each other, the only one way, only one medium is language through which they can communicate with each other. The real-time example of use of language is communication between two people in their local languages. Like if two people of Odisha can communicate with each other in Odia language, that is as much as effective than two people are discussing with each other in English. Because if there are no such fluent capacity to express their thought in English, so you need to use such language so that you can deliver as much as you think. Okay. Language can be in any form, but the purpose or the aim is to perform the effective communication. What is effective communication? Effective communication is that which represents the actual thought of a human being can be delivered to the other people to whom he will expressing. That is the main motto of expressing the concept to the delivered one. The method of human communication, either in spoken or written, that consisting of the use of words in structured and conventional way. What does it mean by structured and conventional way? if the written text or spoken text is not in proper format, like if I want to say I am going to home, but I represent it in my language that I home going, so it doesn't sense anything to the deliverable people. They can't understand anything. So it should be structured and some conventional way. It means it has some conventions. Okay, thank you. Next, move to next slide. What is communication? Communication is the process of explaining, sharing your ideas, transferring knowledge between people. Okay. So now communication is the process where someone explaining something, sharing their ideas, transferring knowledge among the peoples. Here we are only considering the human communications. Okay, while we are considering human communications, we have several things to be considered, like we have different mode of communications. Okay, later on we are discussing. The fundamental requirements of communication is the language. Okay, without language there is no communication, no existence of communication also. Without language there is no way of communication or conversation. I already defined it. It can be in any form, like written text format or art, or it can be a verbal communication, non-verbal communication, postures and gestures, etc. It means I can write something which can be understood by everyone. I can speak something so that everyone can understand. I can make an art of my thought so that everyone can understand. I can represent my thought through posture and gestures. Here, two people are communicating with each other through some postures as well as gestures, and some speaking and some verbal communication, like he was shaking hand with the girls as well as he was saying hello. It means they are communicating with each other in good way. Okay, like human being, every living object has their different way of communication with different languages. Like we are discussing with each other in Odia, English, Hindi. There are several languages, human languages. But while we are considering the animals, they are knowing. Is they knowing the Odia, Hindi, English? No. They have their own languages, so that they can communicate with each other. We didn't understand their languages also. Okay. So that is different from our languages. But the ultimate concept is to express their feelings, to express their thoughts, to express their knowledge, something like this. Okay. Next, move to considerations. What are the considerations of languages or communication? An effective communication is that when there is a better way of choosing appropriate language for communication. It means if a person well and good at Hindi, but he was going to deliver ideas in English, and he will not so much effective while he was communicating in Hindi. Okay, so it means a non-fluent person can't deliver their ideas as much as he was able in Hindi. Okay, that is the aim of effective communication. If you are delivering something, then you just choose the language where you comfortable, and so that it will be better communication and effective communication. Okay. Before going to start, it is also mandatory to choose the comfortable language for effective communication. As I said, that while you are going to deliver something to communicate with each people, you need to consider the language where you comfortable and the other people are also comfortable. Okay. If you are comfortable at English but they are not understand the English, then it is also not considered as a effective communication. So please kindly remember this. These considerations are under human life or living objects communication. But while we are going to the computer science, who are the objects? Who are the objects who are communicating with each other? The objects are here. I am representing here. While considering the world of science, the language is being used to communicate between these objects like computer to computer, computer to human, computer to application. It means in living objects that may be human to human, human to animal, animal to animal. But in computer cases, computer to computer, computer to human, computer to application. It means in computer to computer there is some set of languages are there so that they can understand their languages. They can communicate with each other. That is considered as networking. The networking concept is there. While we are going to the computer to human conversation, that there are several languages like programming languages, scripting languages. So human emotions can be understood by the computer. And computer to application, there are set of rules, set of languages which can be understood. The application language to computer languages. Okay. There are several languages, several categories of languages in computer science like programming languages, assembly languages, scripting languages, markup languages and so on. The use of different types of different categories of languages are different in different platforms. Like where you can implement the programming languages, you can't implement the markup languages. Where you want to implement the markup languages, you can't use the programming languages like this. So there are, every language can have their independent era. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.